Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotels. And today we got Omri here with me. And we're going to be talking about inventory and purchasing, how to reduce your costs and the best inventory methods. How are you doing today?
Everything good. Thank you for having me.
Man, the first question I always ask everybody is, how did you get into this business?
Yeah, that's a good one. So my partner is hotelier all his life. His grandfather built couple hotels in Israel. So he was the one who actually got me in hospitality. My background is completely different. I used to work for Microsoft for many years as a software engineer. And we started the journey together a couple of years ago, where he just told me about the inefficiencies. And as a software engineer, wherever there is a challenge, we are up to it.
Nice. When it comes to inventory, I mean, what I hate about inventory is, one, dead stock, okay, trying to get rid of dead stock. Two, the actual method. Like, you're inside of this freezer, you're inside of this refrigerator with pencil and paper freezing your butt off. Like, nobody, because I started off in the accounting side, nobody wanted to do inventory. That was like the worst thing to do, you know. And then the on the purchasing side, it was a headache because you don't know which vendors to order from because you don't have the updated prices, you know, you don't know what's going to expire, when it's going to expire. So you're constantly trying to purchase, but in order to do your purchasing, you got to check your inventory, see what you got. And the worst part is everybody waits until the last minute till you're almost ran out of something to order something. So what are your best inventory tips, like top three that'll make things a little bit smoother, a little bit easier for us with inventory?
Yeah, so first of all, it seems like you have many scars on your back. Like many other chef or hoteliers. I think maybe to start before the inventory, we should start with purchasing, because this is where the data or the entry points for the data start. Mm-hmm. I think there are three things you need to ask yourself as a hotelier before you even get to the point where I bring a software or anything like this to make sure that my purchasing, receiving, inventory management is more efficient. So the first question, or the understanding that you should get rid of pen and paper. Mm-hmm. You cannot do AI or anything like this with pen and paper. So first thing, and I said it a couple of times before, what we call lift and shift. You need to bring up from your existing pen and paper world to something a little bit more digital. Mm-hmm. Second thing you really need to understand is that, well, it's all about data, mm-hmm. right? So as much as you want to believe that your vendor is your friend or the GPO is going to give you cashback and rebates unless you're going to be compliant, you need to understand this is a data game. So the more compliant you are, the better pick of the vendors you choose every single day. This is how you're going to make profits and money. So if you did the lift and shift and you're not in the pen and paper world anymore, and you understand it's all about the data, all you need to do now is to figure out how can you use this data and make sure that you make the right decisions. So starting with purchasing, I think the most important thing is to make sure that all your vendors are in one single place.
Okay.
And not only the broadline ones. So I know there are a couple software and websites where you have stuff like punch-outs with 3-4 suppliers that take you to the supplier's website, but then your local suppliers are not part of this game. And then let's say your chemicals or cleaning supplies or the liquor are also on a different website. So first, make sure that you bring everyone into one single platform, and that this platform is very kind of transparent, mm-hmm. right? Because if the platform is brought by one of the suppliers, then obviously you're going to have some conflict of interest here. So make sure that everyone is in one single place. And then once you have that, you will be able to see the data and make smart decisions. Now, whether it's you making the decision based on data, or this is where AI can come into place and kind of help you make better decisions based on data. Because to be honest, it feels like you're drinking water out of a fire hose, seeing all the numbers, all the orders, different packaging, different products. It may be very confusing, and I think this is where Reeco really comes into play, starting at your purchasing, making sure that we give you the best insights you need based on the data after we educate you how to use the platform and kind of make sure all your vendors are in one single place.
When it comes to the rebates, I mean, I never understood the rebates. Like, why don't you just reduce the price of the product? Like, you know what I mean? Because if you reduce the price of the product instead of just give me a rebate on everything that I purchased, just reduce the price of the product of what I purchased the most, and you can keep the rebate. You know, how have you seen rebates work?
Yeah, so I think this is education that we've been educating in different markets, right? With the credit cards, we're used to getting cash back and points on everything that we do, and sometimes I see hoteliers, they prefer to get $5,000 at the end of the year with rebates and cashback rather than, as you said, spread it throughout the year and just pay a cheaper price, right? But I think, and again, this is not our game. We're GPO agnostic. I can work with any GPO that you offer, but I think this is an actual, it's a good question. And most hoteliers don't see those rebates, not because the GPOs don't offer them, because they buy either the wrong way or they, out of all the products that they purchase, only 5 or 6 of them can really get you rebates. I think that the GPOs are doing a very good job bringing the price down. You can see that. However, at the same time, if you're not picking the right products or you're not being compliant enough, you're not going to get rebates. It causes frustration from the programs that you have. So, I mean, it's up to the hotel to decide whether they want real-time savings all the time or they want it at the end of the year. But again, it brings us back to the questions of how do you utilize the data properly, and do you know that you're making the right decision for your property every single day?
You know, I started out in this industry in the on the accounting side of things, and if there was just a better way, because you really don't have a way to know your inventory real time. You know, you just do like a true up once a month, but there's times, especially when you're forecasting, that you want to know what your inventory numbers are like today.
Yeah.
So what are like some of the solutions that you may have for that type of issue?
So I think that, again, I'm going to say the word data a lot of time, but I'm an engineer, so it's all about the data at the end of the day. But if you combine multiple data entries into your platform, so let's say you have the POS information, you have your recipes information, you have your purchasing data. This is how you can start forecasting what's going on in your inventory without counting every single day what's in there, right? Because if I know that you just sold your wonderful burger at the restaurant, and I know the recipe for that burger, and I know how much you purchased that, or what's the price fluctuation for that recipe, so I can tell you the cost, I can give you a forecast. Now, it's a forecast and not 100% real, just because maybe he burned the patty, right? Yeah. So maybe right now you need to have another, or the customer returned the dish because he didn't like it. So it's always going to be a forecast until you're going to do the actual audit. But at least right now, instead of you making an audit that is out of the blue with so many, as you said, DAB products that you've never purchased in the last 6 months and are still in the Excel that you go through the inventory, right now it's going to be way more efficient. You're going to have all the products that you bought. You got to have forecasted quantities for them. So inventory basically become just approving and making sure that the numbers are correct. And then food waste can come into play and say, if I have a difference between what I see in front of my eyes and the actual forecast, this is potentially where the food waste went to.
Now, digitizing purchasing and digitizing inventory, like how much labor cost does that save a hotel by doing that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're talking about soft dollars here, right? Because I'm saving times. The fact that I'm saving 40 hours, let's say, for a chef doesn't mean that you're going to replace a chef with AI, right? He's going to have more time to negotiate prices, bring better menus, make his recipes more profitable. So this is how my solution brings soft dollars, but at the end of the day, those soft dollars become actual saving and more profit for the organization. But to your question, if you think about purchasing, so instead of you, let's say, dealing with the vendors and calling sales rep when something is missing, you have Reeco support for that. So think about all the hours that you spend shouting at sales reps, telling them, where are my apples, where are my burgers, I need it for tomorrow. you have someone else to do that for you. So this is something that saves you a lot of time. The actual purchasing itself, instead of you jumping between multiple suppliers' website or going and texting and calling, in few clicks, like if you were buying to your own house, you can get the purchasing done. So we're talking about hour and hours, and obviously it depends on the size of the property. If you're a full service, select service, if you order just a couple stuff for your marketplace, it might be not a big of a thing for you, but for full service with 4 outlets, this becomes heavy on the team.
Speaking of that, that was a major issue, especially for most management companies, is the fact that if you get a lazy employee and they don't want to shop around to see what's the best price, they're just going to order, or they have a great relationship with a sales rep that you don't know about, and they're just ordering from that person anyway. Because I had that happen. I would come in and I noticed that, hey, these costs are too high. What's going on? And especially when you're managing multiple properties, you know what your cost should be. And it come to find out, this individual had a really good relationship with the sales rep and will only buy from that person no matter what the price was.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they were just too lazy to shop around and will just buy with, the next person that called them. Like, yeah, I need this. Give it to me. So the fact that you're able to access multiple websites so you can really see what's going on, that's a very unique feature, because they would just save a ton of money just with that feature alone.
Yeah. 100%. I think that it's a big red flag when you have someone telling you, well, I know the prices for every single product. I know how it works. I know exactly how much I should buy from this and this. I mean, at the end of the day, you just can't. If you can now remember 50,000 products from all the suppliers' catalogs, so you need to have it centralized and use the capacity and the abilities AI offer today. This is exactly what it's meant to do. Go over high bulk of data and make sure that you make the right decision every single day. And you're talking about one property. What happens when you are a management group with 15, 20, 30, 50 properties? How do you see as corporate what's going on in all your properties? Even with recipes, how can you know if the price of eggs go up? How does that impact all your properties? So right now, when you have everything centralized and you can see the purchasing habits, your inventory value, you can see the recipes, this is how, as corporate, regional director, or a GM, you can make smart decision and not trust your gut feeling.
On top of that, from what I've seen, like, you can literally cost out your menus in real time because you have every single supplier right there at your fingertips.
So I think this is a little bit futuristic, but it's very interesting because what you can do, unlike me and you go to a restaurant and we remember the price of, let's say, the wrap that we buy or whatever. Yeah. But with hotel, the customer, the guests who come, they will probably come this week, and then next time will be in a year from now. So they don't remember the prices they paid on the restaurant. So I can play with the prices and fluctuation way more. If the price of the eggs go up and I can set you up with a fixed gross margin on the dish, I can easily, if your POS is digital and advanced, you can actually push from Reeco the price updates and just bring it up a few cents up. So you'll always stick to the same gross margin. So whatever is the price of the eggs or milk or meat goes up, you can eventually make sure that your gross margin or your food cost is not being impacted and it's just being rolled to the guest.
With inflation and everything that's going on, I tell most people in F&B, things that have a longer shelf life, it may be good to see if there's some way you can expand your storage and buy as much as you can now. Because with inflation and everything else that's going on, you don't know. That price can double tomorrow. Like, you just don't know. But if it doubles, you'll be able to see it because the software say, okay, this is what's going on. This price is double. These are the prices that you got for your last invoice. I don't know if you want to order this from that vendor anymore.
So that's a good point, because the actual trend that we see is more of just in time kind of inventory, because hotels currently lack space for their storeroom, and they much they prefer to kind of use that space for other things that can generate revenue. So they keep a very small storeroom. Now, if you have a small storeroom, you cannot buy as much as you want and keep it over there. First, you have expiry dates, and you don't know when the guests are going to use it or not. So we see a trend where people try to order only what they really need. And this is also important for data, because I can tell you, for example, with our inventory audit, you can see what was your last count. And you get alerts, let's say if something is not being consumed, let's say this month was 5 apples and last month was already 5 apples, you need to get to do something with those apples. Otherwise, you're either going to throw them, it's going to be food waste, or you just don't need those apples. So don't order again and again. So you need to kind of play a game where you need to make sure that you have the right quantities, not occupy much of your space in the storeroom, but at the same time, not over order for what you need.
And you can see that just like real time. Boom.
Yes, I can see it as first of all, as forecast, I can see that. And once you do the audit, I can immediately see time after time what changed.
Nice. What are like some of the success stories that you have? Because I know this is in quite a few hotels already. So
yes, a few management groups that we work with in the hundreds of properties at the moment. Hopefully being in the thousands in the next 2 years. Basically, we see that in different modules. So we offer 4 different modules: our purchasing and receiving module, our recipe module, our inventory module, and the AP accounts payable module. So each one of them is a little bit different and aim at different users. So AP, obviously, this is something mainly for the controllers who, unfortunately, today spend about 800 hours every year just GL coding and inputting that into an accounting software. I can tell you that we have a big management group, over 50 properties, that they started using our AP automation. They push thousands of invoices. Using AI, we code all their invoices based on their coding pattern, and they just need to review and sync. So instead of spending 7 to 10 minutes per invoice, it takes them 20 seconds. And the beauty here is, unlike many other software that you need to pay per invoice, with us it's a fixed price. So this is because we built our own models internally. This is one big success that we can see in terms of time savings. And with purchasing, my team, I have a customer success team that's their job is, after the first, let's say 60, 90 days where we kind of lift and shift from your existing pen and paper world into a more digital one, we sit together with either the purchasing manager or the chef or the GM or even the corporate, and we come up with the right strategy for your purchasing. So if we see, for example, that you want to become more compliant to your GPO to make more cashback or rebates, let's do that. Let's plan that in advance and make sure that we customize in few clicks, right? It's not a big deal, but customize that with the team and make sure that you're going to become more compliant. If you want to have more supplier, let's say you were only with one single supplier and you want to get more offers, it can be very easy for you to just sign few contracts, and then we can open you up with more suppliers. So those things can really help with food cost. We see drop in food costs after 90 days already, just by the user following our advices and give them the real insights they need based on data.
The number one thing, especially for me as a management company, is the price comparison between one property and another, because I will want to know why this hotel is getting a much better price than this hotel, and they're only 10, 15, 20 miles away from each other. Like, that's something that I would want to know.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're able to see everything and it's all centralized, that makes it.
So we always come back to the data and not relationship, right? Because you can have the best relationship with a sales rep, and this is perfectly fine, but they have different tiers. So regardless of the color of your eyes, they're going to put you in the right tier, right? So if you are buying the X amount of boxes or cases, you're going to be in tier 1 and then tier 2, and it can be 2 properties under the same management, and you just don't know that. We saw that so many times where you have one property paying $5 for a certain item and the other one paying $7. And the way for you to consolidate that is to see the data and understand that whether you want to move and become a higher tier for that supplier or you want to see more offers, it's up to you, but we help you kind of strategize that.
Yeah, I've actually experienced that intimately. At the hotel I was at, it was owned by the same owners. But one was a boutique hotel and the other one was a franchise hotel. And what had happened was they had switched housekeeping directors because one had to go on vacation. So the housekeeping director went to order and they were like, what in the hell is going on? You guys are paying double than what we pay. And we would have never known if that switch had happened. But we don't need that switch to happen no more because now we have the software to do it.
Exactly. Reeco is right here for you.
Yeah. So listen, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, so basically it's very easy. You can go either to our Reeco Reeco website, reeco.io, leave your contact and see a demo. I think that regardless of how you're going to see 2024 for you, you should really understand what are the trends. And as senior management, I think it's super crucial for you to pick the right technology and understand that in a few years from now, you are not going to be using pen and paper to do your inventory counts, or you're not going to do purchasing with texting and calling. So I suggest you see a demo, see that it's a real deal, and basically move on from there. The onboarding is very simple. It takes only about 7 to 14 days, depends on the size of your property. You can pilot a few properties and decide your own.
Nice. Listen, thank you for coming on the show.
We're so much for having me.
And thank you for watching. Listen, this is going to be no more headaches. No more headaches for accounting. No more headaches for the chef. Just nice, smooth, click of a button, done deal. And thank you guys for watching another episode. This is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel, signing out. This episode was brought to you by the Hotel Revenue Bible, the #1 hotel revenue book that has ever been written. It includes revenue management, digital ads, social media marketing, sales, catering, F&B, and more. Grab your copy today at hotelrevenuebible.com.